The proposal to end the nearly 2-year-long war in Gaza appears to be another step closer to reality after Hamas agreed to release hostages and accept some of the plan's terms, but not all of them. Laura Blumenfeld is a Mideast analyst with Johns Hopkins and previously served as a senior policy advisor at the U.S. State Department's Israeli-Palestinian negotiating team. Laura, wonderful to speak with you this weekend. Before we get to the news from Friday night, I wanted to get your take on this proposal that the Trump administration put forward. Originally 21 points, but then pared back to a 20-point plan. What were your insights on that?
Well, the word of the moment is momentum. The plan creates something that we've never seen before, which is a day after plan, something tangible that folks can point to. The concern, though, however, is that the parties are not really singing from the same song sheet. It's literally been an evolving document. The Arab world accepted it, and the Islamic leaders, they had regional buy-in, which was a great thing. But then Netanyahu made some edits just before Trump announced it. And now the Palestinian group Hamas has said that they accept it. But again, it's very different terms. They're all looking at the same document and they see different things.
So Hamas accepted the plan, but it stopped short of giving in to a call for disarmament. How much of a roadblock could that be?
Well, their answer was a yes, but, when is no, not a no? When Trump says it's a yes, Trump accepted it, and he's really the only person who has the kind of push here and leverage to get the Israelis to agree as well. So it doesn't really matter what's actually been put forward. It's just whether Trump is commanding the Israelis, stop the bombing, as he said, and Israel said, yes, sir.
So this is obviously a crucial step to getting hostages released, but Hamas has said in the past it's not going to be an easy task. Do we still believe that the group might not know where all of the hostages are, whether they're alive or dead?
I think most of the hostages who are living are accounted for. The trickier piece is the hostages who have died months or perhaps even years ago and are buried. Abu Marzouk, who's one of the oldest living Hamas leaders, he's missed several assassination attempts, has been speaking for the group and said that it could take days, if not months, to find where, bring up the bones. That could be used as a stalling tactic. And so the Israelis are rushing negotiators to Egypt, to the Red Sea resort of Sharm el-Sheikh, to see if they could at least get the batch of living hostages out and as many bodies as possible.
So with this plan, there's this idea of installing a technocratic government to oversee Gaza here. I mean, the region has been here before. Do you think that this time it sticks or it takes?
It's a 20-point plan. Biden had trouble even pushing through a 3-point plan. As one of my co-negotiators, when I worked on the U.S. Israeli-Palestinian negotiating team, an Israeli negotiator said the only plans that work in the Middle East are 1-point plans. So I think we will get to that ever crucial, very crucial hostage for prisoner exchange with that 72-hour timeline. Palestinians will have something to celebrate. They're going to get 250 of their prisoners who've been convicted of murder. Look, these guys have blood on their hands. They can say, look at the victory. They are now free. Israelis will have their hostages back. And all important that the region will be available to surge aid back to the Palestinian civilians who are living there under dire conditions. So I think we're going to have a win with that. The rest of it, though, as they say, the devil is in the details. And I think we're heading for that territory.
Gazans have said that they don't want to leave their land, and this plan, according to the Trump administration, seems to allow them to stay where they are. But does it add a wrinkle here that the land that they may be able to stay in is not going to be recognized as an independent state by the United States, even though everyone else is recognizing an independent Palestinian state?
Statehood is one of those fuzzy details where Netanyahu read the clause that said this may lead to a pathway to a Palestinian state. The may is sort of underlined and highlighted because there's a question mark. And for the Arab and Islamic states, and certainly the Palestinians, they see it as a kind of time-bound, irreversible pathway to a Palestinian state. So that's, TBD, and that's one of the concerns. I think what everybody's hoping for is let's just get this big release over the finish line. That will again create even more momentum, and we can point ourselves to the horizon of a broad regional peace. But realistically, it's a long way to go.
So this is a Trump-backed plan, and one part of it suggested that there would be reconstruction or redevelopment led by a team that is overseen by Donald Trump. Do we risk this becoming a reconstruction that winds up being this kind of Riviera of the Middle East that Donald Trump had envisioned earlier this year?
I think the most important difference from what Trump proposed earlier this year and today is he stated very clearly that there will be no displacement of Palestinians, and even those who leave during Reconstruction will be welcomed back. That was a clear red line for not only Palestinians, but the entire Arab world. I think what we're seeing here now is the old saying, which is he who is most organized wins. What the strike that Israel, the failed strike on Hamas leaders on Hamas that Israel launched earlier, um, galvanized the Arab world. And so they've pulled together the sort of center of gravity of the Middle East for the United States has shifted, I believe, under President Trump from Israel to the Gulf region because he's much more focused on commerce and economics. And, the Gulf has that pot of gold. So as long as they're standing united and steadfast beside the Palestinian people, I think that their rights are going to be safeguarded.
Last question here, really quickly. Does this plan prove politically problematic for Benjamin Netanyahu, given that people on the far right within his party don't seem to want to go in this direction?
Well, there are a few problems for the folks on the right. They wanted to settle Gaza, they wanted a permanent occupation. But this plan gives Netanyahu what he needed and what he wanted, which is a buffer zone. Again, his title was Mr. Security before October 7th. And his plan going forward is to never allow Israel to sort of be shrunk inside its borders. He's created a buffer zone in Lebanon, there's a buffer zone in Syria, and now there'll be a buffer zone with Gaza as well. Never again has to do with the Holocaust, but very much for Netanyahu is relevant today.
Laura